Welcome to Back Issues. Welcome to Back Issues. We just watched the X-Men movie that was made in 2000, directed by Bryan Singer.
The original X-Men.
The original X-Men movie.
But we watched 1.5.
Yeah, so it was the extended edition.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Slightly.
So, quick facts, 75 mil was the budget, and the writer was David Hayter for the screenplay, and then it was Bryan Singer and Tom DeSanto for the story.
What else has
Yeah,
Hayter
Tom
done?
DeSanto, Bryan Singer. He's done other stuff, like much familiar local superhero sci-fi related stuff. He's worked with Fox for a while. Did he write Fantastic Four, one of them, with Tim Story or something?
I'm not
He's
100% sure.
definitely done X-Men. I think he was even attached to Blade, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. So he's done quite a few with them.
Yeah.
That's not too
Under
bad.
the Fox banner.
So this was a original story as well.
Ooh, Cyclops is
Wow.
That's
He's-
quite
Way to
something
take
that's
it
happened there.
down a
He's
notch.
turning red.
Totally unintentional. I just wanted him to mac on her a little bit.
Hey, can I just-
That-
So this is the
Yeah.
only X-Men movie that is actually based off an original story as well. All the other X-Men movies have taken inspiration from a particular trade arc or something like that. So
Well, like,
And just watching the special features before, we discovered that none, really, going in, of the cast had any comic book fandom, or Bryan Singer for that matter.
that was an era that was okay though. You know, like now it's like fans would go ape shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then it's like the internet barely existed in the year
Yeah,
2000.
Google was not a thing, right?
Like if you were James Marsden,
You're so good looking.
excuse me. Thank you.
if you were James Marsden in the year 1999 when he was cast, and you're like, oh well, like I'm sort of familiar with the X-Men, but I want to bone up on it. You have to literally go to like a comic book shop, or get Marvel to provide you with comics. It's not like
Don't forget though, that
Wikipedia,
the 90s was the period of comic books that basically didn't matter. It's like all the content that was coming out in the 90s was like Pockets and Lethal Enforcers and weird contrived time travel elements and expansion teams and farm teams of every X brand and Bat brand and Super brand and Justice brand, and like it was just, and they're all worth nothing basically today. But the content that came out of the 90s, we got the best. The comic books came out of the 90s better than they went going in, arguably because of cartoons. X-Men the cartoon,
Yeah.
Batman the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, even the Iron Man, the Fantastic Four, all that stuff came out. There was cool other stuff, Transformers, G.I. Joe, even like Thundercats and Masters of the Universe and all that stuff. That's what took comic books and like rebranded them for a younger audience. Whereas the 80s, it was all about dipping into R-rated stuff. Right? It was like The Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, Swamp Thing with Alan Moore behind it was coming
Watchmen
out.
was the 70s.
No, it was
Was
80s.
it 80s?
Yeah, it was 86. Does that sound about right?
Oh, it was like mid 80s.
That's
a Yeah.
Good
I'm up.
year.
But I think we're I think we're actually missing like one of the biggest points here is the Professor X action figure has fully posable legs, and I'm not sure why.
No, because he doesn't actually stand up on his own. He's like one of those like dancing men on the board. Do you ever see those things where the guy on the stick and his
I'm
legs
just saying, you can bend his
Right,
leg.
I think we've gone
Anyway.
sufficiently off track for the start of our podcast. It's fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to what really matters and what we think worked with this movie.
What worked with X-Men 2000?
Let's go first.
The story. I think the story was really like it still works. Like the story's like, oh, it's about ostracism. Is that how you say that? Being ostracized, being like
No, okay, I see.
like being discriminated against. I think that still works to this day. Unfortunately, it does still work to this day. Like
Well, they replicated that in First Class. That was part of
like
it
being
as well.
different, being like the overall story. I think works.
I think that's always going to be topical. I can't think of a time when being different
True
as a
that.
theme would not be topical, because
that, yeah.
as soon as we as a society get used to something new evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much
I
so.
think, but bang on it, totally agree. It's very topical and.
But on that same topic, we all thought after the fact the script seems to skew younger. Like,
Yeah.
if the actors themselves and the characters were not in their, like, mid-30s, early 30s. I mean, Hugh Jackman is obviously, in the narrative, he must be at 80 at this point or whatever, right? Thereabouts.
Well, like, over 100
he's
at this point.
Over 100.
Yeah, he's definitely older, but
looks
I don't
looks
know
good.
if we necessarily see that fully in the portrayal that Hugh Jackman has.
Because he should already be established, which is the point we came across.
Yeah,
Having
yeah.
Rogue just was
But
there.
this
and
is
was
this is
enough.
getting sidetracked
Sidetracked.
because we're talking about what
What
actually
we liked.
worked in the movie, and I think Hugh Jackman is a good point to kind of say that the casting was really
Casting
good in this movie.
Was bang on across
It
the
was
board.
fantastic.
Loved it.
Even Halle Berry, like, she's great.
Just
Kind of in the next ones.
she's better next to you because she doesn't try to put on the accent. Like, she's
Yeah.
just like, I can't do it, so forget it. It's like, yeah, good. All right, cool. I'm down with
Yeah.
it. You know, just forget it. If you can't do it, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Like, it's better than, like, poor accent work, like another X-Men movie, Taylor Kitsch as Gambit.
Gambit.
It's like, it's just like, it was never Cajun, but it, like, went from Louisiana to Texas and then nothing, and then back again. It was, like, all over the place. She was kind of the same way, where it's just like,
I think Halle suits the role though. Like,
absolutely
that,
she
that
does.
aside, I can see why they.
Don't forget,
went
she
with
was
her.
Jinx. She was in James Bond as well. She was a Bond girl.
She was a Bond.
but
So-
that was post X-Men.
Well, yeah, post X-Men.
Whereas Famke Janssen was pre
Pre-X-Men. She was Xenia Onatopp in GoldenEye.
What didn't work? Let's kind of like ease our
Segue
way
in.
into it. Then I don't know. I have to kind of say after the Matrix point, the costuming really doesn't work for me in this movie.
It's boring and still not something you'd wear outside of your house.
The one thing that I really
Well,
like
maybe.
is
Depends what night.
Mystique. I think Mystique was a very practical effect.
Yeah.
Really liked
Ruffle.
that. I
Yeah.
thought her like contact lens thing was great, but Sabretooth's, I'm like, why do you have entirely black eyes? I'm just gotta put it out there. I really don't understand why you
Yeah.
got this whole demon thing going on.
Like,
He's
he's
meant to be a
supposed to be
character,
pleasant.
and
And
I
he should
think
be closer to a cat, right? Like, if anything, he should
Should've had
have more
cat
cat
eyes.
eyes.
yeah,
It's like just fully
yeah.
black. It's like, well, that doesn't give you an advantage. You just have giant pupils.
Yeah, he's got exactly. It's more of like a tiger's eye kind of thing going
Yeah.
on in a lot of the comic book art that is
Yeah.
done, which is really nice. And I think they missed out on some really good opportunities to kind of play with some color in this as well.
Yeah.
And that's my big problem with the costuming.
And as a result, all the color you get are those squiggly lines and the purple blob, right? Like,
Goddamn squiggly lines.
Yeah.
Notch. Still not really sure what their purpose was.
They are genetics. They're squiggly genetics.
they're evolution at work.
They're evolution.
so
That's what evolution looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's evolution.
Science.
On the record.
I never saw that in my science textbooks.
Wow. It's still there.
Interesting.
It's a thing. It's a squiggly thing you gotta look at.
Yep.
I think this movie, again, like story and like even the acting, it's like
It was good.
Kevin Spacey had already won an Academy Award because of Bryan Singer when Bryan Singer made this movie, right? Like he knows how.
He won the Oscar for Usual Suspects.
I believe so.
Wow,
Anyway,
that's awesome.
So like the acting is it's there. It works for what the story is, but like I think the movie really falls apart when it starts to do action. Like Bryan Singer didn't know how to stage an action scene at this point. He'd probably never done it before, and it seems so fake.
Wouldn't you bring
every
in a
action
great
scene.
choreographer at that point? I think, right?
But like every action,
Like you were saying, like how cool would Jackie Chan be to choreograph Iron Fist? And I'm like, that would just be epic. Just let him run the show.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it
Let him
probably
be the,
shouldn't
let him be
probably
the villain.
shouldn't get
Sorry,
into
segue?
Iron
Okay.
Fist at this point
Well,
in
we'll
time,
talk
but it's
more.
still in the Marvel universe. I'd love to talk more about this. I really would, but it's getting totally off track. Oh god.
I
Anything
feel
else
like-
that yeah?
Oh well, I feel like a lot of the shots were really cool.
yeah.
Yep.
Like I a lot of the time I found myself going, oh wow, like I love the look of this, but then the transition from this shot to that shot and this movement to that movement wasn't necessarily like I feel like they were like I don't know if I'm making sense, but like
Yeah.
this was cool, that was cool, but the stuff from this to there is like
It was like, yeah,
Like
very like
connective
graphic
tissue.
in that way. Like
Yeah.
they were like
it was like
snapshots,
the
and they were missing ones.
Yeah. All right, coming back. So, is there anything else that didn't really work for us?
Sabretooth.
Sabretooth. Yes.
Sabretooth.
What
As
a
a-
waste of a
as a
great
character-
character. Foil to Logan.
Sabretooth and Toad. Like those,
And Toad.
they're just like we were saying during the movie. They're just henchmen.
So
Yeah.
They're nothing.
what if they
They're not
weren't even in
characters.
the movie and Mystique was every time one of them showed up, it was Mystique, and you also played up a weird sexual angle that was always there, kind of with the Jennifer Lawrence Fassbender relationship with Mystique and Magneto, and how cool would it have been if they were just like Zod, you know, and what's her name, Ursa, or what is she in the old movie? Ursa. Yeah.
I think that kind of puts me onto a big point with a lot of the characters in this movie is I felt like the writing didn't really do them a lot of justice. Like I felt like there was a lot of one-note kind of tones hitting with these characters, and that's what happened with the henchmen. We just saw them on one level. The Cyclops, Wolverine,
Cyclops is
Jean.
insane, like, he was just one thing.
One thing the
Yeah.
whole movie.
Just serving a purpose.
Yeah.
His actually least dickish thing he did was smile at the "You're a dick" line
And
in the entire movie. And we
Yeah.
all kind of called that out,
Yeah.
right?
he
Like,
smiled. He smiled when Wolverine flipped him off with his claw.
or yeah.
And that's
okay,
like,
but
that's who. There should have been more of that.
There
Those
should
are
have been
most
more of that.
redeeming moments.
yeah,
It's
was
like,
how he
oh,
took
he
the
can take a
jab.
joke.
Yeah, he could
He's
take
not
a joke.
such a
What a
fucking-
nice thing, right,
not
about
such a-
someone.
such
So
a-
few people can take a joke
Yeah.
properly.
He's not such a dweeb that he's just like he can't even take a joke, you know.
Yeah.
The Jean Grey performance for me just never really sold me. I know, like, she took it a different way, but I just feel like the character was a little bit too intense and too focused.
She's more selfless in the
Times,
books, right?
yeah,
and in the
she's-
cartoon. And
But it's
like,
the same with her and Cyclops. Like, there's meant to be chemistry between them, and there was chemistry
There was
between
not.
them.
It's like a
it was-
relationship.
You just
Yeah.
knocked down
Yeah,
both
it was-
Mystiques and a Cyclops with
Your
one
words
comment.
hurt people.
Well,
hurt
you know
people.
what? Hey, it's,
Eyes.
sometimes that's
Yeah.
what happens.
He turns red from
So
time.
cool.
Oh dear. So,
Should dive on.
is there anything else that we think
really didn't like?
We need to kind of address in before we head on to our ratings.
I think there could have been more fun in the movie, more
Yeah.
like silly
Yeah.
little moments,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
the pulling the finger.
More of
and,
that.
Like it was so serious. Like what does Xavier spilling coffee on himself look like? I don't know. Something.
Could he unspill the coffee? And we're back.
And
we're
we're
talking
back.
about X-Men 2000. It's time to give this movie, this solid movie that started the Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart journey that was the X-Men from 2000 until 2017. We're going back to the Statue of Liberty, and we're going to give it a rating.
Yeah. So, what's our rating system, guys? Like, what are we thinking for this one?
I kind of like out of squiggly lines.
I think,
Squiggly lines.
again, Mel
Squiggly
nails
lines.
it. I got to give it squiggly lines.
Yeah. Does anybody have any opposing rating systems for this bad boy?
No, I mean like people watching the video don't really get squiggly lines, but we'll put up a graphic right
A graphic?
there. As I say, we'll put up a graphic,
This
and then
spot.
it's gonna happen. We'll just show us a
Right there.
scene from the movie.
Yeah.
But it's the
yeah.
blob
we'll just-
of color and
We'll just
squiggly
play all of
lines.
this without
that-
editing any of what I'm saying out of it.
It'll clarify
Yeah, it'll
for
work
you
out
what we
well.
mean.
It'll work
It was
out
the
well.
cutting edge of technology. This is on just like coming off the Matrix, coming out of Blade '98. Blade was like superhero movies can be cool again, and grown-ups are allowed to like them. And this is like before Marvel and everything. This started it all again for the first time.
Yeah.
What
Very
Batman
much so.
did in '89. This is
Uh,
the new deal. So squiggly lines.
Who wants to start? Anybody get a burning passion?
I do. I love this movie. I'll
think about
start.
it for a second.
Okay. I will give this movie how many squiggly lines
Well, out of
though?
five.
Out of
Well,
five.
out of five. We
Five
always do.
squiggly lines?
One is the lowest, and 5 is the highest.
Five is the
You
highest.
can't go lower than one.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
Well, you
did,
could.
You did give it a 0.5.
you did.
What did I give 0.5 to?
You gave a 0.5 to The Shadow.
The Shadow.
Oh yeah, because that movie is not rewatchable.
So that's okay. If it's
couldn't-
bad enough, like go below 1. But anyway,
Yeah. So that's our scale. So squiggly lines of X-Men. You know what? I think I saw this movie. Every now and then I see a movie like multiple times in theaters. And it's like it's a balance of not always how much I like a film, but sometimes it's like how free I am at the time and what I can manage. And it's like sometimes I love a film, but I can't get to it. Right? We were lucky enough to all finally get to Logan about not quite a full week in.
Yeah.
And you can check that out somewhere like this side. This time we get to be in the frame.
You can click here.
Click there.
You're
Somewhere
just
over there.
loving this Price is Right stuff. aren't you?
It'll be fun. And we can have like I don't know, a few mistakes.
Click the annotation over here somewhere.
Alright, so if it's out of 5, you know what, for starting it all off, for getting where it's going, you know, I want to bump it higher than I feel the film holds up. Still granted, it has a lot of like iconic shots that you would use in a, you know, a buzz reel. It was sizzling, it looked good, and that shot behind them all in under the Statue of Liberty burst ceiling, and like there were enough of those. There were good one-liners. It doesn't play on the same level as Logan, and I have to also scale it against Logan and how good the franchise can be. And if Logan is going to be just a 5 swizzles or squiggles or whatever, what are we doing? Squiggly lines. If it's only 5 as a max, I got to put that ceiling on things with Logan, and what is a perfect film? And so,
well, to be fair, we rated Logan out of 10.
Out of 8, wasn't it?
It was 8.
8.
Yes, out of 8.
For some reason, even though he only has 6.
But
Because we're including
X23 is the heel clause. Foot clause. Heel clause. So
Click here, the annotation will be over there. So.
Yeah.
we should make this a
Foot.
Christmas release, and then it could be like Santa Claus.
That's my foot clothes just came up.
Alright, so if I don't want to like take this on too long, I'll give it a solid 3.
Let's go next.
I'm going 3.5 squiggly lines.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second time you two haven't agreed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alright.
Just going,
Yeah.
Go on.
Rivalry.
We have different ones. These
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the thoughts there, Mel?
I do agree with Tim in that I think there was a variety. There was like there were a couple of 1 moments, there were some 2 moments, some 3 moments, some 4 moments.
Yeah.
But ultimately I'm going with an average of 3.5. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the cast. I would have liked to see a little bit of a different script marry with that cast to make more sense. A little bit more kind of tongue-in-cheek moments. And then I feel like they tried to have those moments, but it just didn't really land with the context, or the setups were just a little more like, we're having a funny moment.
Yeah.
And like it's just, yeah.
It was too aware.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind this was the first real reintroduction of even the superhero costume. Like they had Blade wore like a trench coat and like stuff. It was very Punisher-esque, and like before that they had the bat nipples. So it was like that's how far off they'd gotten. And then so like I get why it doesn't quite work. And the
I don't know if I'd say it's a reintroduction of the costume. I think it's another like play away from like your traditional costumes, because I think, I mean, we even saw video footage of all the guys in there being like, oh man, you can't even bend your elbows, and
crushing
they had to
his
climb over a ledge.
I think you need to explain that, Tim.
Oh yeah. So it came to our attention that Hugh Jackman caught his testicle in the harness because of those leather costumes. That's the worst thing ever. And his response was not like, fuck this franchise. Quite the opposite.
It was, let's do this for another 17 years.
So there you go. You gotta respect that man, and I hope he wins the Best Actor award. And that's a challenge to all the great films that might come out in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Never know.
But deserving, nonetheless.
Yes. Isaiah?
I mean, when I was 12, I probably would have given this 5 out of 5 squiggly lines, but like watching it now, so much of it is aged poorly, and like you think about it, the context of the movies that were like contemporaries to this movie. The Fellowship of the Ring came out the next year, and The Matrix was the year prior, so there's really no excusing how terrible the action is in this movie. It is boring. It's like the action in this movie is like, it might as well have just been a straight up drama.
Like just talking and stuff. Yeah, that was...
Because like the action is so underwhelming, and the costumes they look like shit. Like I'm gonna go 2.5 squiggly lines. Like halfway to 5. Because
Your 12-year-old is dying.
I know, because I loved this movie as a kid, but like rewatching it is like you realize like they just went so much better. Like X2 even is like exponentially better than this movie. And like it's solid. It is solid. It has good moments, but it's like there's so many like movie moments. There's so many like, and like again, it's like what Mel said. It's like it's just not very much fun.
Yeah.
Like there's no like.
It's not as rewatchable as even like some of the schlockier X-Men movies.
And it aged. Yeah. It aged quickly, because again, if you think about Lord of the Rings, the next year. The action in that movie is phenomenal. Like,
yeah, it's great.
Like
Weathertop is like one of the best sequences.
It's great, and like this movie has no excuse. It has zero excuses for being that terrible.
And even the slow reveal stuff in Fellowship is like, it's infinitely more interesting than like a kind of like Wayne Manor kind of sprawl. Like the X-Men headquarters could be way more interesting.
You have
like not putting the Danger Room, for example. They could have wowed us with that. That would have been a neat sequence.
I think that's kind of a vision issue and everything that we're kind of seeing from Bryan Singer, who
wasn't a comic fan.
Yeah, again, but I mean, this is kind of an age-old thing. Is these people that aren't really comic fans, who don't really understand the lore and the source material and what's actually out there as content that you can go and research. That's my biggest
which you should.
Problem. Yeah.
Like, it's the whole point of engaging. This is why reboots today gotta stop. You can't be like, there's 5 years of stuff you need to learn and you're good. Yeah. Play this video game and watch this cartoon and then you're fine. It's like the whole fun of it is going back.
Yeah. So, was there anything else for you?
Well, I was just
sorry
like,
to cut you off there, buddy.
No, let's go back.
Like, I wanted to give this movie higher. Like, I was close to giving it a 3, but just simply because... Like, I would rather pick up the franchise with X2 and forget X-Men ever happened. Like, I have to give it lower because, like costumes were all over the place, and the casting is on point, and there's some really great stuff about it, and it springboarded what we have now, really. Like, it wasn't really Blade. Like, Blade was kind of, like, low-key. This was, like, huge. This was a huge movie.
By comparison, yeah. Budget-wise, too.
It just, it immediately aged itself, right? Like, it's like, X2 is so much better, and, like, it just got better from there, and, like, this movie just doesn't really hold up in a lot of ways. So, like, I gotta give it a little lower just because of where we are now, rather than, like, what it means, but it's, like, they could have done better.
Yeah. That's totally fair. This is a tough one for me because this is probably one of the earlier comic book movies that I saw. So as a kid, around 12 or so, it was an amazing experience because it's like the first time seeing Wolverine and Mystique and Magneto and Professor X, and I'd heard a little bit about it in primary school, but never really got to experience too much. So it didn't necessarily begin the intrigue, but it certainly enhanced it because they were starting to get bigger, and I wasn't able to watch Blade at that point in time as well. So, but I have always felt this with the original 3 X-Men movies. I felt like they were a swing and like just kind of a half miss. Like they're not dead on. They're kind of just swinging to the left and just a little bit too much, unfortunately. I think they have like created this wonderful universe that in the end we've got all these weird and crazy stories, like going back and seeing Professor X with hair and different iterations, seeing Apocalypse as well, and then getting to Logan. I think the journey has been great, but unfortunately I think this movie's just kind of a little bit
So
anyway,
just
we
gave
just
it the
finished.
lowest score. I think you've
never given a movie. You've never been lowest of the group.
But you're a big Marvel fan, so like this movie probably kind of hurts, right? Like this movie probably
It hurts.
It hurts,
It's
'cause
why I'm
it's-
really afraid to watch Howard the Duck as well. I have to.
Oh,
admit,
you're
'cause
gonna
it's in-
hate it.
because
It's
it's in the
bad.
Marvel universe.
So
Nice
let
to
it be
know.
on record too. We bumped Howard the Duck from the lineup tonight. We saw Logan and we thought there's no way we're not going to be able to talk about Logan. We should just steer into the storm,
Skid. Yeah.
into the skid,
Into the storm.
and give some really polarized points of view and
Okay,
dialogue.
so on that, seeing as this isn't Logan, we have to go into what we would do differently. So what's our pitch for this?
Yeah, what's our pitch? How would we rewrite the X-Men?
I'm happy to go first
You
on
do
this
it.
one.
Please do it.
How much time do we have?
Yeah, I know, not enough. You know what? This is really simple fix for me. I think you just need to have everybody pre-established. Wolverine should have been in the school already. We had a nice thought, or Tim had a nice thought of him trying to teach a class or something like that. Early
jokes
on
about it in
the,
X2.
in the danger room. It would be really nice.
Well, not even
and then-
necessarily in the school, but like if you met him the same way, but then when they get to Xavier's, he's already been there.
Like they've known
Yeah,
already.
like
he
they
comes
know
in and you're
him.
like, they don't know he
He's
cage
been
fights,
there.
or Xavier knows.
Exactly.
He's been part
Yeah.
of the thing, but he like said, you know, he
Like some
flipped
kid could be
everything
like,
in his plot,
exactly.
some
like,
kid could be like, how was your botany expedition? And he'd be like, it was good. You know, like
we don't have to go that low key.
Well, like-
I think so. What my
I found
extended
four-leaf
point on this
clover.
is there needed to be more tension between the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants as well. Like that's meant to be a pre-established relationship. We kind of know about that. To
They
not
should have been,
had it.
like
I
at
get
odds
to
with
it.
each other in the Brotherhood too. They should have been like vying for position, like how Luthor takes over the Legion of Doom and he kills seemingly Grodd. Spoiler alert, and you're just like, whoa! They just like
Oh,
fucking
and the
aced him to the head, right? Like, and you're like, how did they do that? They wasted Zod, but then he comes back, or Grodd, not Zod.
Well, they-
you know,
I mean,
but that's what they
still,
should have done.
It's still the movie universe though, Tim. So we got to kind of keep it on like a
On the movie
on
verse.
this is when we had to appease like a lot more people as
Yeah.
well, right?
You
We're
should
not
watch
in-
JLU.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Anyway, Mel.
Yeah,
As
I'm
a,
the token a lot more people.
Yes. Yes.
Get that
So
one.
what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on this?
I would say, like, I think you need serious moments in the movie. I don't think the whole movie needs to be a serious moment. So more fun.
Would you say there's more fun in Logan than in this movie?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Absolutely. And that's a
Yeah.
freaking serious movie.
Yeah.
It's so serious.
Like
Yeah.
cry-worthy.
Yeah, but that had the whole spectrum of everything. This had, I feel like it was just stuck on one note of, we're a serious film.
Yeah. Trying to validate it in a way.
Yeah.
Like, and its place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
It's like
Which-
Dead on Arrival.
Which
Yeah.
is good for our 12-year-old selves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Loved it.
we're not
Oh.
12, unfortunately, anymore.
But it's not the film that hooked us either. None of us like X-Men because of this movie. We liked X-Men before this movie.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Right? All of us? Or, like, except maybe you. I don't know.
I liked Hugh Jackman.
Yeah? We all
Well,
like
he brings his own fan base. So.
Ozzy likes Hugh Jackman. Ooh.
Yeah.
I think everybody.
You're just jealous. He's phenomenal.
I am jealous. I wish he was Canadian.
Yeah, I wish you really were. That's the awful thing. The best Canadian is played by an Aussie, eh? It's because why?
That
You
must
gotta
hurt.
have a more of an edge.
Oh, that
knucklehead.
must hurt.
Yeah.
More of an
Well, you know,
That's
some of us just feel at home over here. It's just.
I believe it. Yeah. Hashtag Alpha Flight.
We're all
Canadian.
we're all alcoholics too.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
hashtag?
I never do. I don't know what that even means,
I
but
know.
it might be my first.
love
It's the
it.
pound
I didn't
sign,
know you,
right?
I didn't
The
know you
pound sign.
hashtagged him.
I don't know.
Hashtag all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? It's a thing I'm gonna have to do now
Yeah.
for Alpha Flight.
Tim is the most like non-technical
God.
person ever.
Don't go down that road, Tim.
Sorry.
I don't know if this is going to work out well. I have to admit.
Don't let it swallow you whole.
No. it
Okay.
won't.
Pitching.
So what would we change for the X-Men? So we would have made them all younger. But I love the
Yes.
casting. So I would have written a subplot. I would have added 20 minutes, taken stuff out. I would have gotten rid of Sabretooth and Toad because they don't work in this. And I would have made Mystique the Rita Repulsa to the Lord Zed that is Magneto. I would have had them be more of on par with each other. I would have had them working against each other. She's like flirting with people, trying to like get them on their side. She does her own stuff. Magneto's got his like virtuous like single-mindedness and his like vendetta against Xavier for some reason. I would have had Xavier already established, and I would have had a subplot with kids and drama, and somebody would have got their period, and somebody would have like gotten in a fist fight, and there's
super period.
Whatever. Like,
reminds me of my high school.
Yeah, but it should have. I would have injected way more Veronica Mars into it, and if they had that element.
Just to add, at this point in time, Tim has just finished watching
Veronica
all
Mars.
of Veronica Mars, so she's kind of going off on.
It's so Mars good. Go watch Veronica Mars. But I haven't watched the movie yet, though. But it broke records.
This is something that Tim pitches quite often, which is to delve more into the schooling aspect of the X-Men universe, which I think is something we do miss out on.
The school is destroyed more times than you see classes like gone to, taught. Like Storm has one, Xavier has one, and Wolverine makes a joke about teaching art. And then there's the Danger Room scene. And that's 4, 5, maybe? Like, am I forgetting one?
To be fair,
there should have been a mechanics class where they're working on the Blackbird.
I don't know. When to be fair, when you see a lot of the school in the comics, like for the most part, it's either random stuff or the school getting blown up.
So, it gets blown up a lot.
To be fair enough, they make jokes about it now that so it's just one of those things.
But I would like a subplot. Like, why recast them young now in First Class and then again with
well, maybe they're listening to you. Maybe they're going, we need to go back and kind of like look at these characters.
I gotta go through the office again with a metal detector because they're definitely listening.
That's gonna be like Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like he's gonna be in high school.
That's what I'm so stoked for.
And that's what Spider-Man should be.
And who's the villain?
Fundamentally,
Batman '89. Michael Keaton as the Vulture is brilliant casting.
This is also what the Ultimate Universe has been setting up for a very long time. The Marvel Comics started running in the mid-2000s. The Ultimate Universe, so Spider-Man and everything was back at high school. It was very much a somatic kind of like artistry and everything that was in there. So, and it's almost...
Isn't that what introduced like the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury and all that stuff?
The Ultimate Universe? Black Nick Fury was seen in the early 2000s.
No, but it wasn't just a black Nick Fury. It was like Samuel L. Jackson, if he were to one day star in a movie. Like they went there, right? Like I think they went that way with Deadpool as well. Isn't Ryan Reynolds kind of the intention behind a lot of the coolness of the character on the page? And then I think that's why he works so well.
He makes a joke about Ryan Reynolds in one comic before Ryan Reynolds was ever.
Yeah, was ever there.
Right.
That's
as
the
much
thing.
of a connection as
Potentially.
Deadpool ever had with Ryan Reynolds.
They might have like maybe the writers might have taken note of him from some of the comedy stuff that he was doing. You never know.
I think it was a thing.
Oh, Tim thinks there was a thing.
Tim hears things.
So is there anything else like major with X-Men? I think we've hit a lot of points like costuming, plot, writing, characters.
Younger. Xavier was still good. I would have had maybe more. It would have been cool to have Magneto betray the team, like be a teacher there too. Like
you keep pitching this, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work. No, sorry.
Magneto's. I like the idea that Magneto is already the Malcolm X to his Charles's.
Yeah, I agree. I don't need to see that.
They already are on either side of the equation, right?
And they have that unspoken history.
Like First Class was great, but like, how many times do we have to see them being on the same time and then falling out and being on the same side and then falling out and being on the same side? Yeah. That's actually what is fundamentally flawed with like most of the movies. It's like they start, they join and then they break apart and then they join and they break apart.
Which is why Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart work really well, because I feel like they already have that all done with, and we don't need to see any of that. Even when they were younger, I think they could have done that. Like, we don't always need to see an origin of a character to know their backstory. If you can sell it well enough, which these two actors did in this movie, then it speaks for itself.
You mean like Logan stands alone? Like it could be just a movie you wander into and not know ever about the X-Men.
Yeah.
And it works. It's just a beautiful story.
But yeah, Logan, beautiful, X-Men. Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. You can like, share, subscribe, and if you want to see more, just click the link in the description.